How cool is this?
This is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, so I guess what I want to do is... there's a thread that goes back to 64, or before 64, which is Ian, about, the story... Well, back to why we're doing this. We're hanging these two pictures up at the pub, and we want to have people... Right. And this is the new founders... have you seen one of these yet, Mick?
No.
This is the founders sketch. So there's your old house, made a little larger than it really was. There's the old beach hotel.
And that's 100 Frederick Street.
That's 100 Frederick Street, right there.
Yep.
And there's was it Bob's trailer and the car?
No,
that's
mine.
Yours.
That's mine. Yeah.
It's crazy.
That's mine.
And there's
the trailer bringing the boards to the shop.
And there's the boys in the backyard fixing Robbie's board.
That's it. Yeah. It was only a 1500. Yeah.
Must be crazy.
Yeah.
The bit I like, we've got Murphy.
Are you recording now?
Sitting up there watching the guys out riding. How's that?
Yeah, no, that's great.
To me, that says it all.
You haven't got one of those yet?
Yeah,
he's got a copy.
You got one.
No, I went and bought. I got number 4, I think.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, I got number 1.
That's great.
Which I'm stoked with.
Yeah.
So
here's the colour.
Here's what I want to capture today, because I think this is like amazing that we, the club turned 60 last year, and we discovered as part of the whole 60th, Ian wrote a story around the untold story of 100 Frederick Street, which we learned a whole range of things that we didn't know about.
For sure.
About the club and the foundation of the club and where Sam's surfboard shaping started and all of these amazing things.
Well, see, it was really prior to the club. The club formed, and it was just a bit of local, history, I suppose, more than anything else.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I heard these stories of the boys hanging out at this house.
Yeah.
It was your name wasn't mentioned. It was always Bobby Gunder's place,
yeah.
rather than Ian McKimm's place, and that's been a great part of his history. And the boys jumping over the back fence and walking straight down onto the beach.
Well, yeah, and it was crazy for me because all I really had to work off when I created this artwork was a couple of black and white photos, and then your story to kind of go, hang on, you're talking about jumping a fence. I'm assuming that's a fence because they're all sitting on it. And it was kind of me creating this jigsaw puzzle to turn it into an artwork.
Yeah, it was only a little low brick fence there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the other thread is that the guys were hanging out in this house, and all the guys, the pioneers of surfing in those days, are hanging out there. And then Robbie Wood and the crew, and Ray Richards and the crew, decided to create the club. And then the club was born on the 27th of June 1964 in the front yard of 100 Frederick Street.
Yep.
But then very shortly after, one Mike Eggleston, famous Newcastle artist, cartoonist, painter, just drew this image, hand drew it.
That needs to be shown up close.
Yeah.
The Merewether Surfboard Club logo. Now, I had the great privilege of being up at the Australian Board Riders Battle on the weekend, where we nearly won it, but we got third. And we get to look at every surfboard club logo in the country. And the number 1 logo, with daylight second, is that logo.
Massive standout.
Like, it is the best logo. It's the most beautifully crafted artistic logo, and Mick Eggleston created it. And it's never going to change. There's been a few iterations along the way, but we've gone back to the original and won't change it. The next part of the story, which I think is really cool, is Peter Thompson decided in 87 that we should write a book about the Merewether Surfboard Club. And so who better to try conscript at Mike Eggleston, who decided to be artistic director for the book. There's our logo.
I was Shanghai.
We were all shanghaied by Peter Thompson. So Tomo shanghaied us, and we took over a room about this size in the bottom of Peter Thompson's place. And then we started copying photos and assembling photos and telling stories and making up things. But all of the old boys told their stories. And, so it was Robbie's story. Dave Knox, the journalist, wrote a great intro to
That's
the whole
right,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
And then Robbie told his story and Jacko told his story.
How long did it take to put the book together?
Over a year.
Wow.
So, and this was done in the days of bromide prints. And so, funnily enough, as a... That's one of the pages that we had for...
Wow, so you had to make it up,
We had to make it up.
large format.
Large
Yeah,
format.
wow.
And then that got put onto
Scanned.
bromide and
Yeah.
that got printed. And so
Wow.
Ego was doing all these layouts of this book. We had no idea what he was doing.
That's insane.
So,
Ego was just doing Ego stuff.
So Ego's doing Ego stuff. We don't know what we're doing really. And Chris Power ran it around and got 120 people to donate $100 so we could afford to do it.
Wow.
And we collected all these photos from John Newt and Ray Richards and everybody, all of the photographers that are featured in the book. But along the way, there was this moment where we were getting the thing kind of well laid out, and Ego had been doing his magic. He'd done the little, the sketch of that, and the pages were laid out, but we were left with what are we going to put on inside and outside of the front cover.
Wow.
And so I said to Ego, I found this photo of this thing which was London as the centre of the universe, and I said, you should make Merewether the centre of the universe. And then he came back with this sketch. And then
Wow.
he just drew the sketch of Merewether Beach with Third Reef and Dixon Park. And then we all decided who should be part of the picture. And so you got Benny Plant walking along there.
Yeah.
You've got the boys coming up from here getting arrested by a policeman coming back from the
It's amazing.
leggy. So every person in this picture is a person that Ego drew in to represent a part of the history.
That's amazing.
And then this became the print for everybody's wall. So people would copy this and we'd stick it up on the wall. And this particular artefact's become one of the most treasured parts of the club's history, where like a completely professional, like it is amazing how good this thing is.
That's insane.
And then we
It's
had this
insane.
legacy. And it's amazing. And then the next part of this amazing story, which I think is incredible, is 25 years after this, a young grommet from down the beach rings me up and says, do you think Ego would mind if I did a new version of this for the 50th anniversary? I said, I reckon Ego would be happy. So you want to tell a story after that?
I guess for me, like I'd always been into art at school and whatnot, and I love cartoonism. And growing up in the 90s, I saw this artwork over all my friends' walls because their parents had got one from back in, 88 when you'd released it, 89. And I was like, fuck, this artwork is amazing. But I missed the cutoff because you did 100 or 200 prints. They'd sold out. I was not able to get a copy. So I just spent my whole youth kind of running around houses going, there it is again, I love it. So for me, I was like, my only way to get close to owning one was to create my own and show the, perfect idea is the newspaper, you get to spot the difference. So I was like, if I create one now, 25 years later, we'll see how the architecture and the landscapes change, and it'll actually give everyone an insight into what was there 25 years ago as opposed to now. Like you got Surf House that's replaced the old surf club and things like that. And I remember, I think that Gary Cullinan was in the mix there somewhere. He actually gave me my first job doing a mural which was painted on the inside of his balcony. And he knew I was into art, and he was like, mate, come paint this for me. And he also owned this artwork which was on his wall. And I remember chatting to him as well, going, how do I get in touch with this Mike Ego bloke? And he's like, I think I've got his number. Let's give him a call. And anyway, I remember Gaz dropping me around to your place, and I'd shown you this sketch, and I was like, I've been working on this artwork to show the change. What do you reckon? And you were like, I think it's great. I think you should colour it. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. So I've taken it home and coloured it in. And then I remember bringing it back to you, and I had a copy made for you. And I was like, I want you to have it because thank you for I felt like this little rip-off kid that was coming and stealing your style and trying to create something similar. And I remember somewhere along the line you'd got back in touch with me and you told me about how you did a run of prints, and you said, I released X amount of prints back then. You should maybe consider doing a release of artworks and sell them. And I was like, fuck, that sounds kind of cool. And for me, back when I did that in 2014, that actually unintentionally just kicked off this art career for me, which I've now been grateful and lucky enough to be doing for the last 12 to 15 years. And it was all inspired off this artwork. But really it is, whether you want to accept it or not, it's sent me down this path where I've now, not to bloat and gloat, but it's like it's allowed me to collaborate with artists like Paul McCartney and paint these murals around the world and Australia, which, whether you want to accept it or not, it's all kind of come from this artwork that was created for the club.
It all gets back to Merewether Surfboard.
And it does, and that's the history of the club, and it's like, you know, and now we're on to the founders sketch, which is a whole nother story, which tells, I guess, we go back in time to well before this artwork that you'd created, and it's showing, you know, when the old train line ran across the front of the old ladies' pool.
Yeah.
So... yeah.
And I think that this, pick this up again, is the 60th anniversary rolls around, and where, you know, we decided we wanted to get as many of the founders there as we could possibly get to the 60th anniversary. And everyone's getting a little older, and one thing led to another, and I think Megsy just thought it'd be a good idea if we had a party in the park where the Surfboard Club was founded. And we didn't know, we kind of thought it was 100 Frederick Street. And we had that thing from Rossi Bailey saying it was founded at 100 Frederick, and there was the little Merewether Historical Society piece about 100 Frederick. And so we then started trying to figure out where 100 Frederick would have been, and we eventually got it laid out where it was. And then out of nowhere came a phone call from Ian saying, we've written a story, Sam, Bob Gunter and myself, about it. Do you want to have a read of it? Mm. So you want to tell us how that story came about? What was the...
Well, it's a bit of a long story, because I only came about it by accident. Bev Lawson's son, Adam Lawson, I don't know whether any of you guys know Adam.
I know of him, yeah.
Yeah, he knows people within the club, and he asked his mother, hey, it's the 60th anniversary coming up. Can you remember, because she used to live in 100 Frederick Street herself with a husband.
Oh, because it was Lawson's house that you rented.
That's where Adam was born. Bev and Graham used to live there. Bob and I...
He was born in the house?
He was... Well, I don't know if he was born in the house. He was born in a hospital, probably.
Yeah. Probably Hillcrest.
Yeah,
probably.
seriously.
No, Bob and myself lived in the house from about late 62 or around 62, I suppose. And we lived there quite happily doing what we were doing. But Bob left to go back to Port Kembla because he used to work for BHP, and he was a geologist, and they sent him back to Port Kembla. So that gave us a sort of a break, because we had Sam surfboards going out of the surf shop across the road at the same time. That gave us a bit of a break, and mother was in the shop nearly 90% of the time, 100% of the time.
Wow.
So
making board shorts.
It was a break for me too, to back out, and Sam took over the shop and and carried on his surfboard business over in Newton Street in Broadmeadow.
Wow.
And anyway, so when Bob left, Graham Lawson moved in to help with the rent for me, and then he had a girlfriend. They got married, and she moved in, had the baby. That would have been mid-65. So mid-65, I moved out because it was a bit of a crowd with the extra baby in the house. I think it was only a couple of bedrooms there. But anyway, that's how it came about. Adam asked Bev, can you remember anything about those early days when the club was formed? She said, no, I can't, but I'll get on to Bob Gunter. He'll be able to give us a few details. She rang Bob. Bob said, no, I can't remember anything. I'm getting I'm getting too old now. Ask Ian. So she got in touch with me, and she said, do you remember anything about those early days? And I said, no, not really. but leave it with me and I'll have a bit of think about it. So the more I thought about it, all these memories coming back. And so I started to make a few notes, and it grew from there. And I think somewhere along the line, I looked at that online, and I started to read all the stories coming out, and I said, I recognise all those names, or a lot of them. So I started that story, and that's how it came about. Wow. Otherwise, it wouldn't have happened if it hadn't have been for Adam talking to his mother, and his mother getting on to Bob and myself, and that's the way.
We were chasing a photo of the front of the house, and that's how we Tomo started chasing the Lawsons. And so then out of nowhere, and somewhere Mitch is going to put a little link you can click on, and a PDF will pop up and you can read this entire magnificent story that was authored by Ian and Bob and Sam Egan and verified amongst, which is a wonderful tale of the early 60s and the start of surfing.
I wrote it and I thought, before anybody sees this, I better get Bob to have a look at it. And he had a look at it and he said, oh, yeah, great job. Yeah, you remember a lot more than me, and it's all coming back. And I said, yeah, but is it right? And he said, oh, yeah, of course it is. And I said, well, I better go see Sam. And, of course, I hadn't seen Sam for, 40 or 50 years or something. Yeah. And so got in touch with Sam and said, Sam, will you have a bit of a read of this? See what you think. And so I went out to Norwich Wharf to his place out there and sat down with him because he was working under the house on his boards. And anyway, he came and he had a read, and he read and he read and he read. He said, "Yeah, that's about right." He said, can't argue with any of that." And then Margaret came home because she wasn't there; she was out at the time, and she had a read. And she said, "Yep, that's." She said, wow. All that happened most of that happened basically before I came on the scene full time. So she said, yeah, I've got no worries with that. So there it is. The only thing that I left out is, and Mick, you'd be able to verify that, all those stories in that book, they're great stories, and I bet there are probably a dozen others sitting around the bar in the pub or somewhere about all those stories. But the only thing is that I would have said Robbie had it all organised before the day of the meeting, because there's no way that Ray would have been there.
It wasn't accidental.
No.
In the book, they had a pre-meeting, and this is the Rossi Bailey story. Yeah. So they met at Rossi and Jimmy Newburn, Judy,
and Robbie's place.
They talked about it, and then who was the guy that worked at the Herald? Early club, Mick Bickley. Mick Bickley put the ads in the paper, and so it was all organised. So everybody came to meet, and then the club was born. Yeah. So fast forward to last June when we had the Founders Day, we managed to. There were 65 living founders, and we had 38 of them there.
Wow!
On the day, which is quite remarkable. And then we unveiled it. We put a plaque up in the park, which then the two people that ended up having Cal Horton, our illustrious president at the time, put the plaque in the wrong spot. He put it into 100 and it was either 98 or 102.
It would be 98. We had to move it back.
And we've got photos of this. You can press the link there and go to the photo.
That's so good.
And so there's a photo of Sam Egan and Bob Gunter and Ian McKimm digging the hole to move the plaque in their old backyard.
We stood around while Cal was changing it. He said, I came here yesterday and dug the hole, but it's in the wrong spot, so only moved it over,
That's
a metre or something like that.
Wow.
So to continue the story then, so here's Mitch's famous print, which was inspired by Eggo's famous print, which has set in chart in, Mitch's career comes from this, and Mitch has got the most amazing career that's inspired thousands of kids to paint and hanging out with Paul McCartney and painting things all over world,
Yeah.
it comes from this to this. So fast forward towards our 60th anniversary celebrations for this at Town Hall in November last year, and we're about 4 weeks out, Mitch.
Yep.
Maybe, and I just said, it's a bummer we never got around to. Tomo said we should have drawn a sketch of the guys out in front of 100 Frederick Street, and Mitch went, I can do that. And I went, Mitch, it's 4 weeks from the day. You're going to have to finish it. I can't do it. He said, well, I'm going on holidays, but I reckon I can do it. And so I got all of your photos that you had, plus all the extra photos I had around 100 Frederick Street, sent them to Mitch, told him the stories I knew about Tomo in the corner riding skateboards and the boys doing all sorts of stuff and the old coffee pot train and the old surf club. And Mitch had one crack at this, sent it to me, and I think there was a first rough sketch. I said, we should bend it this way. Came back with, and it was virtually this sketch after that, which inside, how long did it take you, mate?
Oh, I don't know. I was on it every day though. They were big days, but I had to get it done. You know how it goes.
But the detail that's in it, it's spot on.
It is amazing because it's got in here, you've got the coffee pot, which was gone before then, but
that's all history.
But it was near enough. We don't let history get in the way of a great story. You've got Robbie taken off on Third Reef. Jimmy Newburn up the rocks, Pete Cornish out the centre, the beachniks along here, the big pipeliners and the little pipeliners. There's Ian's old car with the trailer where he'd bring all the surfboards back. Pete Thompson out the front of the pub riding his skateboard. Eggo on top of the roof. I'm not sure you ever got up there, Eggo, but you're up on it.
And I think one thing to note as well,
story, though.
I believe, Eggo, when this was first created, the club colours were orange and blue, orange and black. Because I've got the flag in there, it's orange.
Yes.
So somewhere along the line we started to bleed black and blue.
And there was a reason that I can't remember.
I can tell you what it was.
Right.
Robbie Wood, who was the first club shirt they had, one of the early club shirts, which is blue. This is after the event, but it was in '64. Tomo recalls that Robbie was told to go get a club jacket in orange and black.
You got me now.
Yeah.
I couldn't get one.
He couldn't get one.
No
He could only find a black and blue one. And he came back to the meeting and said, guys, we're changing the club colours, they're black and blue.
That's gold. No
No,
way.
you did right.
That's unreal. Well, there you go. I've made it orange in there because that's reflective of the time.
Yeah,
so
it's part of the history.
yeah, exactly right. And all the boys out the front kind of celebrating the form of the club.
But you've got the beach hotel spot on there too.
Yeah.
And the old surf house over here, and then there's the boys on the roof of the old surf boat shed where the boys used to leave all their surfboards, and all the cars of the day.
Yeah, and you got the VW out the front.
Yeah.
Bob Gundy was driving a VW like that at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know where
That was a fluke. You
It
didn't
was
know
a fluke.
that.
It was a fluke.
But
You got the right era.
Got the right era, yeah. Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, no, it got the Austin A30s and the Combi. He's done real well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
No,
thank
that's
you.
great.
Appreciate it.
So, this video, we'll probably put it on the club website.
Yeah, definitely.
But we also are going to have this picture, which is the full colorized one, and my personal favorite, which is this one, which is the sepia one, which has got a real vibe of the 60s, the black and white. So you got a choice. You can click on that link and then buy one of these, a colour one, or you can buy a black and white one. Both are awesome. I have both.
I have the colour.
Yeah, they're amazing. So I think it's just the incredible legacy that the club has, that from Eggo's sketch of the logo
Has created this whole...
created this sketch, which created that sketch, which creates this sketch. And who knows what Mitch is going to create for the
Well,
75th
yeah, and
anniversary.
I guess like all I can hope is that some kid comes and knocks on my door in 25 years and goes, "Hey mate, can I copy this and show you what it is now?" I mean, yeah, it's
but
hats off to you, Ego, for kind of
That's
being
what's
that.
made it all happen, though. The vibe of Merewether, the Merewether surfing
Oh, absolutely.
fraternity, and the locals. Nobody knocked it. It just all happened.
Yeah, definitely.
There's storylines from the club, from like this thread, every piece of art up until the probably early 90s was Ego. Like Ego did the Merrow the Big Wave Classic
Incredible.
T-shirt.
Yeah.
There's a photo in here of Rod Owen wearing that Merrow Big Wave Classic shirt. He did the Beastie Boys when they had the teams contests.
Love it.
So every bit of artwork that the club needed at any time along the way, Ego did. And then Mark Adam came along, and then Mitch Revs came along, and Chris Toddeman's come along. But there's this beautiful lineage of
Awesome.
art and whatnot created, as well as this amazing surfing community that, we've never finished out. We always finish in the top 5 or so in every comp,
crazy.
and an incredible lineage of administrators that have kept the club alive over the past
I think you're a
60
big
years.
one of that too, Tim.
Oh,
No, hats off to Tim, eh?
Absolutely.
Nobody could have done it as well.
I think you've been the
as
glue
Tim,
that's kept
and
it all together, mate.
The club's just so lucky that they've had you, Tim.
Yeah.
Just let's hope we've got somebody carrying on. Not that
Oh,
you're
there
going to
is. There's
drop
a
off
one.
the perch or anything.
Jamie Brown's our current president, doing a remarkable job. So
Well, yeah, the torch has to be carried, and that's all you can hope for. It's right,
yes,
and that's
yeah.
why we create things like this, so people
Exactly.
can look back and go, the history of the club's so rich and
So-
important.
So what we've got to do is give a little bit more thought to the 70th or 75th.
75th.
Start planning.
Give somebody the new artist or
Give me more than
Or
4
even
weeks
you.
at
Yeah,
least.
yeah.
Come on.
your hand won't be shaking too much by then to come up with another one.
Yeah, exactly.
How old are you now?
35.
Oh, you'll only be 50.
Yeah,
mate. You'll be
I
fine.
got this. I got this.
Yes.
Oh, anything else we got? Or?
I think we're good.
What
That's
I want to
pretty
know
cool.
from Echo, who's on the board?
no one.
No,
No,
I
no one I knew or anything like that. We
No,
just
I
had
reckon
to
that-
get-
Love it.
don't you reckon that's nearly classic Jim?
It's very
It's pretty
Jimmy.
Jim. I mean, I've based Jim off the club logo in the artwork, and he was pretty
You have a
iconic for
look at
being
one
on the
of
nose.
photos in the book there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, there's the one that he's doing the Cheetah 5.
yeah, no.
There it is, that one.
Yeah, which is pretty iconic.
Yeah.
That one is close, but he's on
Yeah.
the back end.
Yeah,
That's right.
So that one is close to it. So
Yeah.
it could be Jimmy.
yep,
But
Anyway.
you've always said it's nobody.
yep.
Because I remember asking him when we
Yeah.
were doing this, and I said, "Who is it?" And he went, "Nobody."
Well, that's a good way for it to be. But by gee, when
It
you
looks
look
like
at
Jimmy.
photos, it looks like Jimmy. It's his style.
Yeah, it's
Could be.
crazy.
Yeah.
And at that time, riding right out there on the nose like that, that was people didn't do it. That
Yeah, of course. He was ahead of the
Yeah,
time.
he was one of the best of the year.
one
He
of
was
the
the
first.
Oh, Jimmy is. Yeah. Oh, God.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks, fellas. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate
Thanks.
it. Thanks, Ian. Appreciate your time.
Mate.
Thank you for
Thanks,
the amazing
Ego.
story.
Thank you for
No,
everything. I
No
really
problem.
appreciate that.
No
yeah.
problem.
And thank you for being part of the club for 60 years, mate. Thank you
Mate.
for.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Oh,
I'll do
Can I
it.
tell one story though? The club decided to make Ego a life member for the 55th anniversary, and I rang up Ego because we got a check to see whether he accepted, and I rang him to tell him he was getting life membership, and to say he was beyond excited was
He's got
an
a tear-
understatement,
got a tear
right?
in his eye
Yeah.
now.
And so I said, Ego, it's not an Order of Australia, mate. It's not like a knighthood. He said, it's better than a fucking Order of Australia. This is a life membership of Merewether Surfboard Club. And then at the presentation night, when we presented to him, he gave the most magnificent speech recounting that story. But it's not It's not a fucking Order of Australia. It's better than a fucking Order of Australia.
That needs to go on a t-shirt. That's quote of the century, I think.
Oh dear.
You remember that ago?
I do.
Love it. I need that quote.
Yeah.
I need that quote.
Life membership of the Surfboard Club's better than Order of Australia.
Yeah.
Unreal.
I'd go along with that. I'll back you there.
All right, let's wrap it. Thanks,
Fantastic.
guys.
Mate.